Loki, Season 2, Episode 5, I believe. Science/fiction. The loom exploded. So now we get sounds of sirens and a very close-up shot of Loki in the room outside of the loom, and no one else is there. Very
First of all, and actually, I agree with them. Shout out to E-Man, because I see him say this on Twitter. What an absolutely lame brain marketing blunder, in my estimation, to completely step over what was a great episode 4, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Step all over that cliffhanger. Like, yo, why are we doing this? Why are you marketing a show with clips from the next 2 or 3 episodes right after this major cliffhanger? If ever there was a time not to have a preview at all, for me, it's right then.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, matter of fact, how about we play into what happened into the episode and say, this week on Loki,
Nothing.
And that's the whole fucking preview. How about that? How about we actually connect the marketing to what's happening in the show?
That would be genius.
Right?
Too genius.
Instead of, oh my God, time just ended. Nah, we just playing He Who Remains and all them niggas. They'll be back next week. Come and see Loki next week at 9.
Oh my God.
Like, yo, fam, what type of Benny Hill shit?
I'm so glad I didn't see any of that. I just picked right up on it. I was like, oh yeah, the timeline exploded.
Like,
so
in my head, I be seeing this stuff, and I heard the score from the last episode of Loki when he said we are gods. The dum 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 bloom 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 bloom. It went from that to because it feels very unserious.
Yeah.
Why do I need to watch the episode now? I might have got excited and I might have gotten into it and I might have been like, damn, something real is happening in the MCU. And then you just step all over it with the marketing. It's absolutely unnecessary.
So glad I didn't see any of that. Basically, he's walking through the TVA. There's nobody there. It's real eerie. Also, bro is time slipping again. He slips and sees another version of himself and says hello before he gets slipped back. Turns out that was literally just a few moments in the future. The scene unravels and he gets slipped again, and we do a close-up on the loom screen saying, thank you for your service. We're now in what seems to be a prison. Casey seems to be under his bunky's bed, and he's got some homies. Looks like bro is pulling a good old-fashioned prison break. It's 1962 in Alcatraz. Loki shows up and is seemingly fucking up the plan Casey, or Frank, and his homeboys got. Loki gets slipped to McDonald's and then back into the TVA. Hunter B-15 is in New York in 2012. Turns out she's a doctor and she's helping a little black girl with her broken arm that she got from climbing trees. Of course, Loki pulls up but gets slipped right back. Of course, Mobius is on a jet ski.
In Cleveland.
In 2022 Cleveland, because of course he is.
Yo, what kind of deal did they work out with Marvel, yo? They keep going back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
They was in Cleveland in Endgame.
Yeah.
Where else was they in Cleveland? I think a Spider-Man movie they was in Cleveland too.
Mm-hmm.
What's up with Cleveland? Y'all don't like Columbus, huh? Y'all don't like Central Ohio.
Facts.
You know what need what we have for the corporate building mecca of Ohio. You know what we need for that. Most enterprise runs through Central Ohio. You know the most bountiful trade routes come through Columbus.
We don't need any of that.
You know what we need that stuff for.
Plus, since we are
nothing valuable there.
Since we're in 2022 Cleveland, Mobius is clearly missing his Cleveland Browns gear.
I promise y'all, there ain't nothing going on. First of all, selling jet skis in Cleveland is a little nuts. Now I know they do it somewhere in there.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they got Lake Erie, but jet skiing in Lake Erie, ew.
That being his job is kind of crazy.
Yuck.
At least in Cleveland. Yeah, it should have made like Florida.
Yeah, that'll be the time I would never jump off the jet ski. Let's just take it nice and slow.
Right. Loki comes in to see Mobius and he mentions the TVA, and Mobius thinks he's talking about an ATV. Mobius is just interested in selling shit and not paying attention to his kids, who are calling him at his job, which I thought was funny. It's 1994 Pasadena, and Obi is at a library trying to buy a book that he wrote. If that ain't payola, I don't know what is. Did he really think he could buy a book that isn't in the store's inventory? What are you doing?
That's okay. I can just pay you cash. How much is it?
Like, bro, no, stop.
That is hilarious. No, the response from the storekeeper, get that science fiction out of here. We don't sell science fiction. I said, ma'am, you have a bookstore in 2022, in 2023.
Oh no, that was in 1994.
And okay, 1994.
That one specifically.
I guess maybe you can afford to be a little bit snobby, but even by then, print media was kind of like going towards the back burner. You could see the early signs of it in 94.
Oh, for sure.
Because by 99, we were there at the eBay, Google, internet bubble. You know, Al Gore's internet. So
it's only a matter of time.
Damn, we old.
Facts. Oh, you're old.
God damn, we old.
I'm young at heart.
You're older than me.
I'm young at heart.
By a considerable amount.
Not considerable. Anyway, Loki time slips to see Obi, and he's the only one that believes him, sorta. Obi comes to the conclusion that Loki needs to control his time slipping, and he seems to believe Loki can just do it after focusing in on his why. That shit didn't work. After trying to shock and scare bro into time slipping, they come up with an idea of getting everyone together because of their temporal aura. They believe they need a tempad to do so, and of course Loki has the TVA handbook. That's when bro time slips again. We go back to Cleveland, of course. Mobius is having a hell of a time with his kids. Apparently his wife is long gone. Mobius is trying to sell one of his jet skis to Loki, but he lets him know about his life in the TVA. That's when Obi comes through a time door after 18 months after losing his wife, supposedly. Loki gets Mobius to agree after explaining that this will save his kids and that he can bring Mobius back if he wants. Then Loki goes after Hunter B-15 and Casey. After we make it into a room that seems like Obi's room at the TVA, and everyone's obviously confused and speaking with each other about what's going on, Loki explains that there is still one more person to go after. Loki shows up outside of the McDonald's and tries to explain to Sylvie like the others, but bro doesn't realize that Sylvie is a variant of himself and she's a god too.
I'm just, the whole Sylvie Loki thing is just very off-putting to me.
Fair.
I just wouldn't go searching out myself in another timeline to fall in love with, but you know, that's just me.
That's true. But why he wouldn't understand that Sylvie is also clearly understanding of everything going on?
Well, I mean,
like you are me and I am you.
I'm wondering why it is just variants of Lokis that can exist. Their minds can exist outside of time and space. Oh, because they're gods, huh? Because they're gods. That makes sense.
But then there should also be Thor and other gods.
Yeah,
or even Doctor
you're right.
Strange.
Yeah. If all of time just unraveled, then anybody who can exist outside of that confinement should be right there with Loki and Sylvie. Hey, what the hell's going on? What did you do? That's a good point. Yeah, good point.
All right. Sylvie heads to a bar where they have Zaniac as an arcade game. I thought that was interesting. Sylvie is completely okay with everyone living their normal lives, but Loki thinks he can at least give them all a choice. Loki keeps saying that he wants to save the TVA, but Sylvie keeps making him retell it until he tells the truth, that he wants his friends back altogether. Sylvie says everyone's writing their own stories now and that he should go write his.
Yeah, I wasn't fond of this part. Like, yo, come on, yo. Let's stay focused. Let's keep going forward. Like, keep adding to the plot. Don't backtrack just to deconstruct. That is a flaw in Marvel storytelling right now, and I wish they would get away from that. Forward. Like, you can have these meaningful dialogue-driven scenes, but keep adding to the plot, man. Let's not keep going back to rehash things gone.
Yeah.
You know, the whole speech last week about, oh yeah, you know, my brother and he got cast away to Asgard. We saw that shit 12 years ago. We watched it happen. Okay? Like, we don't need it. Don't need it. It doesn't add anything to the show. I swear to you, it's not as profound as you think it is.
Yeah.
It's just not. It's a waste of time.
Yep.
It is a waste of time. So, I just want to get everybody back together so I can have friends. Well, the point of the show is you get everything back together and fix this shit. Not because you want to have friends, but because we need to get to a point in the show. Okay? So, we just don't need it.
Here's my thought throughout this entire episode is the fact that aren't you just gathering all these people into the TVA just for He Who Remains to eventually wipe their minds and do what he's planning to do?
Well, he's not. He's after that point on the timeline. They've already had their minds wiped. He's trying to liberate them.
Oh.
He's trying to free them.
Ah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, some of this time stuff is...
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to kick your ass.
Casey being a prisoner is literally the only one here that is completely different than who they are in the TVA, which I thought was weird. Like, he's a prisoner who's trying to like steal all this shit.
He just stole the TFATWS.
That's not who he is in the TVA at all. Mm-mm. But then Dr. Hunter B-15 and Mobius, the jet ski salesman.
All that shit lines up. Yeah, he's a completely different person. Yep.
Yeah. Loki comes in and tells everybody to just go home because he's completely dejected. Sylvie heads to a record store that she apparently frequents. The record store owner hands her a Velvet Underground record. She goes to listen to it, and that's when her timeline starts to unravel. The record owner runs for her, but he doesn't quite make it. She walks through a time door. I thought that was a pretty good scene.
That shit was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Pretty good scene. The visuals in the series in this season have been really well shot.
Mm-hmm.
Very well shot. I just wish that we were following it up with some bigger steps. We only got 2 episodes left? We get 6 episodes?
Do we get 6 episodes? This is number 5.
Oh, so 1. Jesus, okay.
Yeah. Yikes. But I feel like they did the same thing last season. Is 5
started dragging their feet
5
towards
was
the end.
Like, ugh.
Yeah.
Loki seems absolutely depressed as he's telling all of them that he was wrong about everything. That's when Sylvie shows up and admits that everything is falling apart. Loki gets excited because everyone is all there. However, they can't find the TemPad. That's when everyone disintegrates, even Sylvie. Loki yells, and it brings him back a few moments. He breathes for a second, and it brings him back a few more moments. Turns out that was him controlling his time slipping. Loki explains that he can rewrite the story, and that's when he time slips back to the TVA with Obi.
So this is part of a comic run called Loki, the God of Stories, I believe. Have not read that one, but I did see people mentioning that this is kind of what it's loosely pulling on. My whole thought coming into this, kind of how things were setting up, with He Who Remains being, killed, and Loki seeming to be the only person who can move freely through time without assistance from a TemPad or anything like that, that he would eventually end up replacing He Who Remains. If that's what happened in that comic book runs, then, good on the old ticker up here. But I guess we'll see. We'll see where it leads us. But it certainly seems to be that way. Because even after they go back and they fix the loom, they're going to have somebody there to kind of keep everything together with the newly formed TVA. And who better than, the person who loves himself so much that he'll find another version of himself across time and space to fall in love with.
Yikes.
Loki.
Yo. Any other thoughts on episode 5 or anything going into the season finale?
That's it, man. I feel like I'm adequately hyped for the finale. Not overly hyped, not underwhelmed, just adequate. I would like to see them, ship us out with a bang. Do as best as they can to maybe try and hype up the Marvels and see where this takes us. I know there's still going to be a little bit of phase 4, phase 5 hangover with some of these projects. Probably talk about some of the stuff we heard from that variety article and Behind the Cape,
and what's coming up next.
Yep. So we'll finish this out and we'll give our thoughts. Let us know what you thought of episode 5. Put it in the prompt below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Come back next week for the finale.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out our playlist full of Loki reviews from season 1 and season 2. And then make sure you subscribe. Like you said, we're going to do the season finale and probably move on to another Marvel series.